The winter sun was pale as it cast its cool glow over Dayton, Ohio, on December 27th. The streets were bustling with post-holiday energy, but inside a modest house on the outskirts of town, 30-year-old Cierra Chapman sat quietly. Her heart was heavy, weighed down by the recent end of a relationship that had once promised a future. Her ex-boyfriend had been a significant part of her life, but as the last year unraveled, the threads holding them together had frayed beyond repair. Cierra was many things: a devoted mother to her 15-year-old son Jadon, a loving sister to Letitia Lofton, and a caring daughter to Kelly Van. To those who knew her, she was a force of nature, vibrant, joyful, and fiercely loyal. Her laughter lit up rooms, her kindness left an impression on everyone she met, and her determination had always been her driving force. She loved cars, finding peace in their hum and grease-stained intricacies, and she adored her cat, a playful companion in her quieter moments. But life, for all its joys, had been unpredictable. "She's a fighter," Letitia often said, her voice tinged with pride and fear. "If something ever happens to her, she wouldn't go down without a fight." Yet as Cierra prepared to drop off a few personal items at her ex-boyfriend's apartment that evening, a shadow loomed over her life, unnoticed by those who loved her most. Trotwood, Ohio, lay under a blanket of cold as Cierra parked her silver 2014 Cadillac SRX outside the Autumn Woods Drive apartment complex. It was just past 4 a.m., and the world was still in its slumber. No one knows exactly what transpired in those early morning hours, but by 4:30 a.m., her car was seen leaving the area. The question that would haunt investigators and her family for months to come was simple yet agonizing. Was Cierra behind the wheel? 2 days later, on December 29th, Letitia reported her sister missing. The lack of contact was alarming. Cierra always answered her phone or returned calls promptly. Letitia had tried filing a report earlier, but the authorities had told her to wait, an agonizing delay that would haunt her. On January 6th, the silver Cadillac was discovered parked on Jewel Avenue in Middletown, about 20 miles from Trotwood. Inside the car, investigators found Cierra's purse and other personal items, but no signs of struggle or evidence pointing to where she might be. The neighborhood was quiet, residential, and not a place where Cierra had any known connections. The discovery deepened the mystery. Why was her car there? Who had driven it? Police turned to the community for help, urging residents along Jewel Avenue and surrounding streets to check security cameras for any sighting of the vehicle on December 27th. The timeline was narrowing, but the answers remained elusive. The ex-boyfriend became a person of interest almost immediately. Cierra had last been seen at his apartment, and yet his cooperation with the investigation was less than forthcoming. Despite multiple requests, he failed to appear at the station for a formal interview, a detail that only added to suspicions surrounding him. Friends and family couldn't ignore the troubling statistics. Women leaving relationships were often at risk, and the circumstances of Cierra's disappearance raised more questions than answers. But without concrete evidence, the ex-boyfriend remained just that, a person of interest. As weeks turned into months, the Dayton community began speculating. Some believed Cierra had fallen victim to a random crime, though her belongings left untouched in the car suggested otherwise. Others pointed to the possibility of a meticulously planned act, one carried out by someone who knew her well. Her family clung to hope, organizing vigils, distributing flyers, and offering a $10,000 reward for information leading to her recovery. Kelly Van's voice cracked with emotion as she described her daughter. She would give her life to help someone. She doesn't deserve this. 6 months after Cierra vanished, the case remained stagnant. Police described her disappearance as an orchestrated event. But who could have orchestrated such a thing? Whispers in the community hinted that someone knew the truth, but fear or loyalty kept them silent. Letitia's nights were sleepless, her days consumed by searching for answers. She couldn't shake the feeling that the key to the mystery was just out of reach. She replayed memories, conversations, and moments over and over, looking for something she might have missed. Cierra's story became a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the unanswered questions that can linger for years. Her son, Jadon, now carried the weight of a mother's absence. Her sister and mother held on to hope but grappled with the gnawing fear of the unknown. The case was classified as suspicious, but without new leads or evidence, it remained unsolved. Each anniversary of her disappearance brought fresh waves of pain, but also a renewed determination to find her. Dayton had not forgotten Cierra Chapman. Her face was etched into posters, her story retold in news reports and community forums. The $10,000 reward stood as a symbol of hope and justice, but the silence from those who might know the truth was deafening. Police believed the answers lay close to home. Someone in the community held the key to unraveling the mystery, but fear, guilt, or indifference kept them from stepping forward. And in the shadows of that uncertainty, Cierra's story continued to unfold. A tale of love, betrayal, and a search for justice that seemed as elusive as the woman at the heart of it. The path ahead would become darker. The truth was closer than anyone could have imagined, but the cost of finding it might prove to be higher than they were willing to pay. The small town of Middletown, a place where neighbors knew each other's names and the streets rarely saw much excitement, had now become the center of a web of suspicion. The case had drawn national attention, but for Letitia and Kelly, each passing day felt like they were caught in a vacuum, where the world kept turning but their personal lives stood still, frozen in time. In the weeks that followed, Letitia and Kelly tried to move forward, but it was hard to find normality in a world that felt so different. They continued to honor Cierra's memory, holding onto the lessons she had taught them. Cierra had been fiercely independent, loving, and loyal. She had cared deeply for her family, and even in her last moments, she had fought to the very end. The town of Dayton had also rallied around the Chapman family, offering support, sharing their stories, and remembering Cierra as the woman who had brought light into their lives. Her story had captured the hearts of many, and though the justice system had done its part, it was clear that it was the community that had helped bring closure to this tragic chapter. But for Letitia and Kelly, the fight for justice had come at a heavy cost. They had seen firsthand the ugliness of betrayal, the pain of losing someone so dear, and the consequences of a life taken too soon. Cierra Chapman's disappearance is more than a mystery. It's a story of love, loss, and resilience. Her family continues to fight for answers, their love for her unwavering. Her name echoes in the hearts of those who knew her and those who came to care through her story. She is not just a statistic, not just a missing person. She is a daughter, a sister, a mother, and a friend. And somewhere, someone knows what happened. Until they come forward, the search for Cierra Chapman will continue.